In this video, we're going to look at 4 problems that are often and commonly asked in section 1.6. The first one we're going to look at is number 27. Number 27 is a double radical equation. We start off by isolating one of the radicals. We have to get rid of them one at a time. I'm going to start off by isolating the square root of 2x plus 3. So that means I want to move the second radical over to the other side. There's a 2 already on the right, and when I move the positive square root of x minus 2 onto the other side, we get a minus square root of x minus 2. Now, since we've isolated the first square root, we're going to square both sides. On the left, the square root and the square cancel each other out, so we get x plus 3 equals. On the other side, that binomial squared means that we have 2 of them. So we're going to expand it out so we can see both of them, and then do our FOIL process. We have 2x plus 3 equals. Now let's do our FOIL process. We're going to start with the 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times a negative square root of x minus 2 is minus 2 square root of x minus 2. Then we'll scoot over and distribute the negative radical onto the second parentheses. A negative square root of x minus 2 times 2 is a minus 2 square root of x minus 2. A negative square root of x minus 2 times a negative square root of x minus 2 is a positive. And because we multiplied a square root times himself, the inside just comes out. Now we're going to clean it up as we go from left to right. This is 2x plus 3 equals. I've got a 4 and a negative 2, which combine out to make 2. I've got a negative 2 of those square roots and another negative 2 of them, which makes minus 4 of those square roots. And we also have a plus x. Now we're left with a single radical equation. So I'm going to start off by isolating that negative 4 times the square root of x minus 2. I'm going to move the 2 back over to the left and the x back over to the left. We end up with x plus 1 equals negative 4 square roots of x minus 2. Now, we did a what if in class during the lecture. It is in the video also for section 1.6. If you have a constant out in front of our single radical part now, you have the option of dividing it off, and it will make this really messy, or we can leave it alone right there. I'm going to choose to square both sides at this point. I'm not going to divide the negative 4 off. Instead, I'll square it. So on the left, we end up with x plus 1 times x plus 1, a FOIL process. On the right, the negative 4 squared becomes 16, and the square root of x minus 2 squared, the x minus 2 just drops out because the square root and the square cancel each other out. Now, I'm going to do the FOIL process and distribute the 16 onto that parentheses term. We're going to end up with x squared plus x plus 1. I'll let you do the FOIL process on your own. Excuse me. And now we're going to distribute the 16. We get 16 times x is 16x, and 16 times negative 2 is minus 32. This is a quadratic right on the verge, so we'll start by moving the 16x back over to the left. The negative 32 back over to the left becomes a positive 32. Now we're left with x squared. After combining all the x's, I'm going to get minus 14x and plus 33. That is a type 1 trinomial, which factors into x minus 11 and x minus 3. So we get 2 x values, an 11 and a 3. Let's look at number 30 next. Number 30 just looks bad. So we have this. Now, if I didn't know what the inside of that radical looked like, it's really already an isolated radical. So I'm going to start off by squaring both sides. The outside square root and the square cancel each other out, and the 1 plus 4 square roots of x comes straight down. On the other side, that is implying a FOIL process, so I'm going to write down my two binomials. And now we'll do our FOIL process on the right. We have 1 plus 4 square roots of x equals. Now let's start by distributing by 1. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times the square root of x is 1 square root of x. Then I'll scoot over and distribute the square root of x onto the second parentheses. The square root of x times 1 is 1 square root of x. The square root of x times the square root of x is plus x. Now we're going to clean it up as we go from left to right. We have 1 plus 4 square roots of x equals. I only have one number on the right. We get a 1. I'm going to go ahead and combine the two radicals. 1 square root of x and 1 square root of x makes 2 square roots of x. And then we've got this x hanging around. Now, I notice that we have the same type of radical on both sides. So I'm going to start off by moving the 1 to the right, but I'm going to move this 2 square roots of x back over to the left, which will make them a negative 2 square root of x. 4 of them minus 2 of them gives me 2 square roots of x. On the right, all that is left is x. Now, I could divide by 2 to continue, but that's going to make it messy. I'm going to go ahead and square both sides. The 2 squared becomes 4. The square root of x squared, the x comes straight down when the square root and square cancel each other out. On the other side, I end up with x squared. That is a quadratic right on the verge. I'm going to start by moving the 4x over to the right side because I'd like to keep my squared term positive. The 4x becomes negative 4x. And now I can either factor it, use the quadratic formula. So I'm going to factor an x out, and I'm going to end up with an x minus 4 as our second factor. When I set each factor equal to 0, I'm going to get answers of 0 and 4. I'll see you in the second video of commonly asked questions in 1.6.